Okay, I'd like to start our meeting. Today is February 18th. This is the Town of Southington Board of Finance meeting, and this is actually a workshop. What am I looking at? I messed up here. Reading off the wrong, I'm reading, Mitch, help me. I just read off the wrong, I grabbed the agenda right out of the box.
I'm only seeing.
Okay, let me start again. Today is February 24th, Town of Southington Board of Finance, and it's 6:30, and tonight is a workshop for department presentations. So we're going to hear from the departments tonight. We're going to start with Community Services, then we're going to move to the Town Clerk, and then Planning and Building Department, Engineering, Library and the Barnes Museum, and we're going to end with the IT Department. This is a chance for the departments to tell us about their budget, but more so, tell us from a financial perspective, what do they do for the community? Sometimes I ask, what do people not know you do? Like showcase some of the things you do. If you added a program or got rid of a program, and if anything you did innovative to save money for the town is always an interest to the board. So thank you for being here. We'll start with Community Services.
First, I'd like to say thank you for having me here tonight. It's a pleasure to work for the town that my dad worked for almost 30 years. So for our department, this is my first time coming here, so if you have any questions for me, but I will tell you,
This is our Assistant Director, Mark.
oh, I'm sorry, Mark Fazzolari,
Fantastic.
Community Services. Thank you. We try not to ask the town for too much. We try and do what we can through fundraisers, through donations that we receive. I mean, obviously, the town takes care of our building and our employees' salaries, but everything else, our programs that we do, the holiday programs, whether we're paying someone's, we're doing utility shut-off prevention, or we're buying food for our food pantry, so many programs that we do. We do backpacks, brand-new backpacks for kids in the summertime with a $25 Target gift card.
87. 70.
Some of the other things we do, we pay people's rents. I mean, you talked about some of the things that are new. One of the newer programs we have is our Operation Stay Warm, where in the past year, we've probably given out close to 1,000 winter coats to families in town. Another newer program that we do are our prom dresses. That keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, and we keep adding to it, whether it's the purses or the shoes or jewelry, or we're trying to help out, the guys that are going to the prom too, to see what we could do there. But those are some of the things that we do. But the big thing that I want to get across is that if we could do something without asking the town for the money, we'll do it. Like if we can have a volunteer in our food pantry instead of paying someone, then we could do that.
That's what Janet always told us.
Yes, we have over 100 volunteers. I'm sure she's told you that too.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't do what we do without all our volunteers.
At least you all go home at night feeling good about what you do.
Very rewarding. And I had another job, 25 years with the Hartford in a corporate world. And then when they outsourced our whole building, I started volunteering and I just loved it. So it's a good feeling to know you're making a difference in someone's life.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, all of the services the Community Services provides, direct aid, cash, food, et cetera, that doesn't come from the taxpayers. The only thing, like Mark said, the only thing that comes with taxpayers is the salary in the building. The rest of it is 100% credit. And Mark and Jan have done a great job fundraising and getting donations. So all that stuff that's given out doesn't come from the taxpayers.
Mark, I don't have any questions. You guys do a great job. And
Thank you.
I tell Janet, she always came in with like the smallest increase every year, year after year. I'm like, it up a little, but nope. She
No.
still come in with like no change or whatever. So
We're trying to keep it bare bones as we can.
no, you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also just, every department can't run like that, right? It's a unique department. But it is nice that it is community donations, and all the town is doing is providing the shell. And that makes it a great partnership, so we're not giving out free stuff, we're just helping donors connect their stuff appropriately to the donees, and the business model is wonderful, and so many people are helped, and you guys are just beloved in the town, for sure.
And I do want to get across that we are so thankful for all the residents in town, because if we put something out on our Facebook page, we're running low on cereal, literally within 2 hours, people are walking in, oh, I was at the grocery store, I saw that you needed cereal, here's 5 extra boxes. So we couldn't do it without everybody in town helping us out.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
on behalf of the board, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to town clerk.
Page 33.
She's not here, though.
Do you want to give a presentation, Sandy?
Oh,
I think we all,
It's there somewhere?
I think we all got an email from.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it. Okay. Just didn't look at my emails today.
I think she said it a few weeks ago.
Oh, I didn't look at my emails a few weeks ago.
Well, it's-
Whatever it is, I missed it. Okay, you know what we'll do, we'll enter it in the record, or if she wants to come Thursday,
She won't be, she's away.
So it's
Oh,
only
she's away.
It's only a $3,000 increase, right?
It's minimal. It is minimal, yes.
From,
Yep.
yeah.
Because the majority of the increase in that budget will be due to the municipal union contract, which is budgeted at 0 now, so we won't see salary staff increase.
and there's not much to, okay, we'll move.
It's salaries, that's it.
If,
We'll move along then. Planning and Building Department, page 99.
Good evening, everyone. Dave LaValle, Acting Town Planner. Primary purpose of the Planning and Zoning Department is to ensure the orderly development of the town and to ensure the long-term health, safety, and welfare of its residents. Through good land use planning, the town can ensure continued growth while protecting property values and respecting the history of the town. The department is responsible for staffing the Planning and Zoning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, Conservation Commission, and the Open Space Committee. Staff members also provide support to and participate on the Economic Development Strike Committee and the Apple Harvest Committee. Staff is responsible for assisting residents and property owners with understanding the zoning and wetland regulations, as well as enforcing those regulations. Staff facilitates applications to all 3 land use commissions and is also responsible for reviewing and issuing individual zoning permits. Staff is also responsible for monitoring progress on action items with the Plan of Conservation and Development, monitoring legislative changes to ensure continued compliance with state law, and recommending updates to the commissions. Planning staff regularly works closely with other departments to ensure a smooth process. The department facilitated the PZC-sponsored zoning regulation changes that improved efficiency for applicants involved in the land use permitting process. We have ushered in many revenue-generating industrial and commercial uses and expansions and see more on the horizon. We continue to work with the building department on complementary policies so applicants can seamlessly transition from one set of permits to another under the online permitting process. Overall, planning department budget is much the same as last year. Few small adjustments were made based on a review of the needs over the last few years. We are requesting a small increase in the overtime budget as the assistant planner has been acting as interim planner and covering both positions requiring attendance at more meetings. We are requesting an increase in dues and conferences line to cover the cost of now mandatory training of PZC and ZBA members. And we've also increased the line for legal advertising due to increased costs. That's my presentation.
So the big change is what, the contract services from last?
Yeah, Alex
It was
had asked me to.
100,000, Alex? On page.
Contracted services,
99?
that's the drop. So you're
Right.
going to notice that's from the POCD, which started last year in, we have the chairwoman here and Mr. LaValle. I believe we should be wrapped up by the end of this current calendar year.
Yeah, it must have been. So the contracted services was extra money previously to pay for the plan of conservation and development.
Right, but we level funded through this year with the 5,000 because we have marshal service for violations that go out. We also have special studies or consultant fees that we have to pay for if, you say there's a lawsuit or something. Alex had asked me to put in a little bit for that to share with building department for a pending litigation.
What are some of the biggest challenges in the department? Like, what are the,
Say keeping up with the business. I mean, it's a good complaint to have, right? We have all this new business, industrial, commercial, matching the state requirements that we have now with our staff to stay what we have for staff, even down one for the past 15 months. We've kept up with everything. We're top 3, I think, with permits in the state, which says a lot about Southington. People want to be here. We have factories that move into Southington from directly adjacent towns saying we want to expand in Southington. You see that all along Town Line Road and Industrial Drive. So the challenge is just keeping up with it, with the staff that we have. We have a great staff right now, and we look forward to even more progress with a new director at some point.
I'm sorry,
Heather, go ahead, please.
were you able to fill the other assistant position? Because I see that you, the 2027 projections for overtime is back down.
That's with fingers crossed.
With fingers
that we
crossed.
will.
Okay, so not
Worst
as of
case,
yet.
I still do it, and there's a little more in overtime, but you're saving the salary of the director. so.
Right, no, but that's the, okay.
Right.
So it hasn't been filled yet.
Looking forward, it will be filled.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chrissy, in the budget book, there's a 2026 original budget and 2026 revised budget. What's the revised? Is that with any additions or appropriations, or?
That would be within the transfer letters that are submitted each Board of Finance meeting. So if the department head, feels that they need to transfer money
Oh, so if they
between
transferred it
individual.
out, one line would go down, it'd pop up somewhere down below.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we had
But-
two phases.
I was gonna ask you, but then when you look at the total, the original and revised, doesn't.
Be from contingency or different department transfer. It's not, it may not, only interdepartmental transfers would,
So the revised is a more accurate number then?
they have some one-time blips in there as well.
Yeah.
Do we do a lot of zoning enforcement? Like, do we go back and look and say, oh, you're violating the zoning rules and follow up on things like that? How much of it is new stuff versus enforcement of existing stuff or stuff that might have snuck in?
Sure. We do have a dedicated zoning enforcement officer. Last year, we investigated 122 complaints. We facilitated 123 applications to land use commissions and issued 317 zoning permits. So that's all folded into what we do as a group. It's complaint-driven, so we have to get the complaints
Okay.
in writing, and he responded to 122 of those, and most of them are resolved, so.
So once somebody gets a complaint, they're likely to say, oh, I didn't realize, or I'm willing to fix that, and they take action.
It's not, a hard line. It's initially a letter of inquiry, say, hey, are you aware of these regulations regarding what you're doing? And then we give them time to fix it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Appreciate it, and tell everybody back at the department, we appreciate everything they do.
Will do, thank you.
Engineering.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm David Norris.
Oh,
We'll come back to David.
oh, a building, you mean?
Oh,
Building. Oh, no, we'll go, all right, we'll get you out of turn, sorry.
Apologies.
All right, engineering.
Yes, everyone.
Dave.
I'm Dave Norris, the town engineer. Thank you for having me. I could say the engineering department provides broad technical assistance and expertise to other town departments and to town boards and commissions. Our engineers serve as ex officio members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Public Works Committee, the Apple Harvest Committee, Building Committees, and the Sewer Committee. We also serve on the Transportation Committee and Municipal Services Committee for the Capital Region Council of Governments. And we also provide oversight and construction inspection services throughout the town and on all town projects. Some important projects that we've completed this past year include the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail from Lazy Lane to Aircraft Road. Also the Plantsville Center Safety Improvement Project, as well as the Plantsville Parklet Project. And let's see, we have a number of projects that are presently in progress, including a new bridge on Marion Avenue. We're also coordinating with the Department of Transportation for a bridge on Newell Street. We submitted a congressionally directed spending application for a flooding issue that's occurred in Plantsville, and we're looking to study that further. And we also have a number of other lots of projects that are presently in progress, including East Street and a sidewalk project that would help address the 100 most critical ADA compliant ramps in town, as well as several sidewalks and another of other projects. You guys have any questions for me?
No, I had a question. Why is the regular wages the same?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, it's the union.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
up 200, but whatever.
It's mainly related to the union. Most of the positions are just fixed since there is a new contract that has not been negotiated
Okay.
yet. And there was just some other balances between some of the
No,
other
that makes sense.
positions.
And one other thing that Mr. Norris was too humble to talk about, but I think you've noticed the incredible work that the engineering and highway department have done on the paving in the last few years. The transparency that the public has seen, the portals they put on the website where people can scroll through and look at all of where their street is, what their neighbor's street is. And they've really revolutionized how we look at roads and how we choose roads to kind of take away any of the accusations of people are paving the roads of their friends, et cetera. David's done a great job of really bringing it all out to the public.
Are we still using the pavement management system? I know we bought something years ago.
That system, we haven't been using that for a number of years. That one required town staff to make all the inspections, so we had then moved to another company, Street Scan, Street Logics, where they would scan the roads. And their platform mainly was providing the scan, and then they provided a application that allowed us to select the roads. So we've reached out to other vendors, and we found one that we think is a better fit for us, where we have an engineering consultant that is a part of their package that will then re-evaluate all the data, make sure that they agree with all of the scan data, and then this third party, this engineering firm who's strictly dedicated to pavement management, will then come up with the plan for us to get us the best cost to benefit value out of it.
Do you get involved in what different treatments we use, like what the programs are, or?
We're mainly relying on their expertise to help steer us. You know, we've mentioned certain treatments where we've had issues in the past, or, you know, like what can we do to maybe bring some of these treatments back, you know, like what, you know, because chip seal is one of the ones where years ago there was an issue that, you know, was a reason for us to not use it any longer. But we've reevaluated that, and, you know, we're looking to bring back services that'll provide the best benefit to the taxpayers. So we are relying on their expertise mainly to help us select which treatments we want to use.
Do you have in your systems any objective data on how our roads are? Like, does it give a rating?
Yes.
Do we have a rating we're trying to aspire to and where we are, and?
Yes, yeah, pavement condition index is the scalar value that they would assign for a road between, you know, 0 and 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best. And we did have our recent scan, and they're still finalizing that report.
All right. If you'd share that with us, I think it'd be interesting, just at a high level or a summary, like how we are, and if you know anything about how we are compared to other towns for comparative basis. Just, we're spending the money, we're going out to referendum every 4 years or so to ask the taxpayers for millions of dollars to fund the program, and they sometimes come back to us and say, how are you doing? How are our roads? Anybody with a pothole, of course, is going to complain. Anyone with a smooth road, who knows? But objective data is always what we would like to have. If you have any that you could share at any time. No, it's not a hurry or an urgency, but I think our whole board would like to, see that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Any questions, guys? Okay, thank you. We'll go back to Building Department. I think page 99 was our page.
Mr. Chairman, we have Mr. David Ricchio from the building, our chief
Okay.
building official.
It's good to meet everybody. I'm Dave Ricchio, I'm the director of the building department. So our primary function of the building department is to ensure the health and safety and welfare of those who work, live, and visit our town by adhering to the state of Connecticut building codes. This is accomplished by reviewing applications for permits, reviewing construction plans, conducting inspections, issuing certificates of occupancy and approval, also issuing necessary orders or notices to remove illegal or unsafe conditions, and requiring the necessary safeguards during construction and demolition of structures. My budget's pretty simple. I actually have a reduction this year of just about $18,000. Is there any questions or?
Are all of the positions that are currently in the budget, are they filled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we're actually full staff now, and we're actually ahead of last year's permit fees and deposits by $51,000,
you.
which is very good.
Did you have a lot of catching up to do? Was that one of the big, was that one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
big
Yes, we did.
challenges?
Yeah, and the more we got on board, the better it got.
How'd you accomplish that?
Just by putting a nose to the grindstone and getting to work, working, long hours, getting everything approved, going through permits, getting everything off and running.
Well, Mr. Chairman, this board did approve an additional inspector about 6 months ago, which has
The electrical
dramatically-
inspector, yes.
Electrical inspector, which has dramatically helped. It's also reduced some of the contracted services, so when you have an E1, E2?
E1.
E1, when you have a very large industrial project, you don't need to go out to have a independent person review the plans. The electrical inspector can do that and the HVAC soup to nuts. So it's, this board has absolutely played a role in, I don't want to say turning around, but speeding up the timelines. And I can tell you my phone is much quieter when it comes to people looking for the permits, looking for their inspections.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank the team for
I will.
catching up and getting it.
Got a great
done.
team. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, now we move to Library and the Barnes Museum. All right, we could add that next time, and we'll go to IT.
We've got Mitchell Gugliotti. He's our IT director. Mitch, you're an hour early, but you don't need to catch up at all. So you just take your, you don't need to get to the next hour.
I can if you'd like.
Oh, no.
We have lots
Mitch,
to talk
we know
about.
we know you could. Is that our new thing? Is it working up there?
I think so. It looks recording from over here. I see the red light. Yeah, it looks like it's working. Time will tell. Hi, I'm Mitch Gugliotti. I'm the IT director for the town. Great to see everybody again. New faces, hello, nice to meet you. The IT department serves as the digital backbone of our town's operations, ensuring that all municipal offices can deliver essential services to residents without interruption. Our primary responsibilities include infrastructure management, maintaining servers, high-speed fiber networks, and cloud environments. Cybersecurity and compliance, protecting sensitive resident data and town financial records through robust firewall management, encryption, and proactive threat monitoring. Technical support, providing 24/7 help desk support for all municipal employees, including police, fire, and public works. Strategic planning, managing hardware lifecycle replacement and software licensing to ensure the town's technology remains modern and secure. Some highlights from our department over the past year. New website, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, launched southingtonct.gov, migrating us over to a .gov domain. That was a governor mandate that by 2027 or 2028, all governmental agencies had to be moved over. We were at a great time to do so, so we ripped the Band-Aid off then. We've been rebuilding our servers. Last year, if you don't remember, you guys elected to make a great technological advancement for our infrastructure, mainly funding new operating systems for our servers. I'm happy to report that most of them have been rebuilt and are on more modern operating systems. There's a few stragglers, but we're stuck due to applications. Expecting those to be finished hopefully by the summer, if not, definitely in the summer. This year, we really focused on the user experience. We replaced a lot of aging desktops and workstations and endpoints. We also made small quality of life improvements, but many of them, which really added up over time, really saving people a minute or a second there, just making it a little bit easier to use the computer and having the computer work with them instead of against them. We've also been launching many trainings, and we continue to perform them, both in person and virtual. So we've done Google Workspace trainings as we're migrating to Google Workspace. We've been coordinating and conducting townwide Munis trainings, which is our ERP system for our financials, and at the core of a lot of things we do. So this year, the IT department has pivoted from a reactive support model to a proactive solutions model. We have focused on cross-departmental data automation, building digital workflows that eliminate manual busy work for town employees in finance, public works, and administration. So we've gone through and accomplished a lot of this through the use of automation, writing small little scripts and codes that can go in and extract the data out of a database or the source system, rather than making the employee extract the data themselves and then manually enter that data, which can cause a whole host of problems. So through these improvements, we've been able to free up town staff, let them focus on things that are a little bit more important to the core mission, rather than just doing manual data entry all day long. Some new things that we're going through this year, a new email system. So we're migrating to Google Workspace, getting off our current email system, which is an on-premise Exchange solution. The reason for that is that it's quite old. Don't want to give away exact timeframes or ages at this point, but it is quite old, more than 5 years old, to the point where it's been marked end of life and end of support for quite some time now. And to replace it, it would have been substantial. We're trying to install and expand our darknet fiber network. This is going to bring town buildings more connected. Right now, everything runs over the open internet. It is encrypted and secure, but this will give us the next step towards security. Right now, a lot of these internet connections at these different town buildings are so low that it's making things pretty much unusable. We're talking like 50 megabit internet connections, which I'm pretty sure at your houses you'll have much greater
And
than
that's
that.
over the public service.
Yes,
And yours is going to be building wired to building.
yes, yeah, directly connected, so we can cut down on internet bills, we can cut down on hardware, and we can better control how the data gets from a remote site like the water pollution plant or the highway department back here to town hall where all the data is stored safe and securely. like I said before about last year, we made a significant investment in last year's infrastructure for our operating systems. That investment has turned to allow us to only spend $600 this year on all of our server operating systems, which is an absolute steal for the town. This should really help us be able to expand in the future while keeping costs at a minimum, especially for something so critical like our infrastructure. I'd like to talk about 2 items that aren't in the budget this year that I'd like the board to consider. In light of the recent cyber attacks, I do think that our security does need to be stepped up a little bit, mainly because there's a lot of uncertainty in our network. What I'm referring to is scheduling a pen test on our network, paying a company, a security company, to come in and actually act as a threat actor to simulate some of the things that we've been seeing occurring. And what this will do is they'll come in, gain access to our network without our knowledge, and then produce a report and tell us how they gained access to the network. From there, we can go in and patch all these vulnerabilities internally, which will further strengthen our network a little bit more. Also, with the impetus of the cloud that we're producing, I'd also like to include that as well. It's not new territory for us, but there are a lot of things that can be missed when you're setting something up, and there's a whole laundry list to go through. We go through all these lists ad nauseum to make sure that we've checked everything out, but it's always good to have a third party come in and check our work to make sure that we are where we need to be.
What vendors are you looking at?
So I don't have the exact names. There's Aqua Team Blue. I believe there's a quote from Blue Mantis. I'm working, right now, I'm still kind of feeling it out, going through, getting quotes, getting proposals, reaching out to a lot of our vendors that also support the state contract, so anyone really on there.
Like CrowdStrike?
I didn't know they do penetration testing,
Well, I
but
don't know, they might, because they're a big vendor for the state.
yes, I'm aware, and we may or may not already have a few products from them.
Do you have like a ballpark figure since you've gotten a few quotes?
Yeah, so for a pen test, it's around $10,000 to $25,000 for the engagement. It's a relatively short engagement. So far, a lot of people are speccing out between 2 and 6 weeks, 90-day retest period. So pretty much from kickoff, they'd have 2 to 6 weeks to infiltrate the network, another few weeks to prepare their report, and then we would have 90 days to patch, secure, fix, and then they also retest to make sure that we've done everything we're supposed to.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one of the reasons you don't see this in your current proposed budget was when Mitch and I were speaking last week, he brought up, there's a couple of local municipalities that are in the headlines. There's a couple that also are breached that you don't know about, or attempted almost breach that you don't know about. And I said, Mitch, is there anything else we can do? We're doing a lot. Is there anything else we can do? And this is what he proposed.
A lot of the lists that the town manager and I spoke to, we were able to handle most of that list internally as much as possible. Now we're at the point where it's time to seek some outside help.
But
No, I
that's
think
not in this
great.
budget, right? Okay.
Correct.
I think that would be helpful. I mean, all the big corporations do it all the time, so, I mean, it's important.
Annually.
Oh, yeah.
One thing you'll notice in this year's budget, to try to bring a little bit more clarity to the vastness of the IT department. The IT department's budget, when you look over the year over year, the next, and your approved budget, it's massive. But that's because we've actually brought in IT programming that they've supported and procured and bought and taken care of. It used to be in all the departments, police, fire, library, town clerk. We've tried to incorporate it into one list. So you actually see dollar for dollar where it's going. And it's massive. The IT costs to run the town are growing exponentially. But I'll speak for Mitch, I don't think there's much, if you look in there line for line, there's really nothing that, I've asked them, what can we take out? And I asked them to do it line for line, so you can actually see what exactly is going into that number.
And as a department, we work every day to minimize that list. It's just so vast that we can't hit it all at once, but when we do get the opportunities or projects arise or a contract is expiring, that's when we go back and review and really look at the functionality behind that piece of software or that line item or that equipment to see if we can move that functionality to something else, or can we pay a little bit more for this piece of software that would unlock this piece of functionality that this one does that we're paying completely separate for. It's very complex, and it turns into quite the shell game.
Well, by the way, thank you very much for all the work you're doing. I know we appreciate all the provided us. I know it's been so there's three full-time, one part-time staff currently,
Including myself, yes.
including yourself. Okay,
Yes.
And I know I've asked this before, but between the 3.5 people, what percentage of time is spent on help desk activities?
I don't have exact numbers, but I know you asked last year, and it's vastly different.
It is.
Vastly. Help desk no longer controls the department. It's now just a task that has to happen. We've been able to shift from just answering help desk tickets to actually working on infrastructure, working on networking, working on security, implementing these new things, doing some of these other projects where we can do some custom development to help out other town staff.
Yeah, and you know, my reason for asking is not to criticize the help desk. It's because I think that it really takes away time from all of the other tasks that you need to accomplish that are extremely important, but the help desk can't be ignored because that's the immediate need and people need help. So you think there's been a significant reduction?
I have, especially with the trainings as well. You know, we've been working really hard that whenever we get a help desk ticket in, we try to create a knowledge base article and we try and share it with the rest of the town. Right now, it's been a little bit difficult because the environment we've been in, but once we get everybody into Google Workspace, we have a really robust system to help us do that, and we built that completely custom in-house. And eventually, in the future, way far down, we would like to put an AI chatbot in front of it, and essentially the end user at the town could chat with the chatbot, and most of the time it should be able to fix your problems as long as it's lower level. But it all comes back to those knowledge base articles and the trainings and just giving people the knowledge.
Okay. And do we do phishing training?
Yes.
And how do we conduct that?
Monthly, it goes out through emails.
Do we track failures?
We do. Not as extensively as I would like to, but right now it's pretty much separated into 3 categories. There's people who have opened the email, which doesn't tell you a whole lot because Outlook a lot of times automatically opens it. There's people who click the link, and then there are people who have entered data into the captive portal. Those are the ones that we've really been focusing on, is the people who click the link and enter data into the captive portal. That's a big problem.
Okay. This may not be a question now, and maybe more of an HR. I mean, is there someone that can fail a phishing test 12 months in a row? And that may be we can ask that question potentially or discuss it separately. I don't know if it's more of an HR issue, but I'm just curious, is there any type of policy in place for what occurs if someone consistently fails?
Not yet, but it also hasn't occurred yet.
Okay.
A lot of times when I do see someone failing or consistently failing, like twice in a row, what I do is I go sit down with them, usually sign them up for an extra training, give them a few YouTube videos to watch, and really just kind of stay in contact with the user and give them my direct line, like, hey, if you see anything fishy or if it's questionable, feel free just to send it to me and help them out.
Okay. And you might have, this is a separate question, you might have mentioned some of this before, but do we have a formal vulnerability management policy or program?
Yes. Yeah, we've had a lot of things going on. We're doing vulnerability scanning. We're doing automated pen testing, which is varying degrees of success. We don't have a formal policy in place yet. We are working on a lot of those things. We're working on all of them, incident response plans, disaster recovery plans. We ran our first disaster recovery test 2 or 3 weeks ago, both here and at the PD. And that's, again, thank you to this board, because that's one thing that you guys chose to invest in last year.
Yeah, that was going to be another question. So do we have, in terms of business continuity or disaster recovery, do we have formal plans in place with, defined RTOs and RPOs?
Not complete, not fully complete. There's a whole lot that goes into those plans, and there was a lot of infrastructure investment that needed to occur to really complete those plans. Right now, we're working with, I believe it's one of the state, we're working with some of the state agencies, and then also Demis and the National Guard to help us with a lot of that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I mean, just going back to the beginning of the conversation, I know there's been a significant amount of work, and thank you for everything. I know that we still have, a ways to go. Is there a plan or a timeline in place in terms of everything, whether it's business continuity, disaster recovery, vulnerability management, and, written policies and procedures and frameworks we'd like to put in place? Do you have an idea of when you'd like to have that complete?
I'd like to have it complete as soon as possible, but a more realistic time frame is over the summer. I'm hoping to tackle all of that. One thing that is in this budget is with our MSP, they offer this package for compliance. And what they do is they give you someone who will help aid you in compliance, help you find grants, all these other things. The reason why this is so appealing is because they already work for our MSP. They know what technologies we're running. They know what we don't have. So they already know what applies to us and what doesn't. They're also very familiar with the town business and how it works. So they're able to better direct us and augment our staff a little bit more to start writing a lot of these plans.
Sure, okay. Yeah, maybe a separate conversation we could have. I think that would be something we'd want to discuss and look into.
I'd welcome it.
Sure. But again, thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything you're doing.
I think you just answered, but are you looking to incorporate any basic AI technology?
Slowly, yes. So with Google Workspace, we do have Google Gemini licenses. We're really treading lightly with AI. The first step was getting everybody in Google Workspace and procuring the licenses. Next are going to be responsible uses of AI. And also putting the guardrails in place a little bit more. There's already some stuff there that comes pre-built, out of the box, call it, with the Google portal, but there's a whole bunch of other things we have to do, such as, policies, guide rails, any retention, FOIA, stuff like that.
So you would need additional funding?
No.
So you got that? Okay.
Yeah, no.
It's the training and, yeah.
Yeah,
Do it slow and, yeah.
For AI, it's staff time. There's a lot of nuts and bolts you have to turn, a lot of levers you have to pull behind the scenes. So it does take a lot of staff time to get there.
Right.
They have to not only become familiar with the platform, but familiar with all the compliance rules and procedures and
It's
the,
time.
right.
We're just doing it co-pilot, so. it's
Oh, nice.
time.
And speaking with compliance, though, like, because of FOIA, like, we wouldn't be training the AI, you know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
Okay, like that,
Correct.
whatever contract you had, it would be.
Correct. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to kind of rush and procure the licenses, because people around town are using it anyway. It's much better to put them in a box that is controlled, which is under our Google licensing, where Google has already came out and said, no, we don't train against your data. It's in all of our contracts, so it's a lot safer than just creating your own free ChatGPT account where you don't know where the data is going to go.
Right, thank you.
Sure.
Mitch, I notice on the salary line for your staff, what's going on with staff compensation?
So there is an increase in staff compensation, at least I'm requesting one. And the reason for that is because I'm asking my staff to do more and more. As you'll see, their titles are changing from basic help desk technician to a network engineer and a server architect. This more aligns with how IT departments function, and their primary responsibilities are going to start shifting more towards IT verticals, which will allow them to specialize and really give benefit to the town. One of them will be focusing on networking and security, so that's not everything they will do. They'll also answer help desk tickets as well, but their primary focus will be networking and security, something that the town really has never had. And then also on the other end, a server architect, typically a server architect goes through, manages all of our servers, backup, recovery, creating new servers, and also the software and applications that are on there as well. So with the increase in responsibilities that I think the town should ask them to provide, I think they need to be compensated fairly for the position that we're asking and the work we're asking them to do.
I'm not seeing a server architect. Is that, do we have it as something else in the,
Page 138.
what am I in the wrong?
There's an extra supplemental thing on the bottom of the book.
I know, but how about in
I think it's systems admin in the.
Oh, systems
it-
administrator. Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry.
it's fine.
Systems administrator.
Okay, thank you.
And then Mitch, can you, Christine's right behind you. Can you kind of touch on how you've worked in partnership with Christine for your part-time? I think that's really important. The board sees how you're trying to be more flexible and forward-thinking.
Yeah, so the technology assistant, there was a need identified at the library with the smart building and the community center that they needed a little bit more expertise out of the librarian realm and more into the information technology realm. So what we've been able to do is split a position where this person, the information technology assistant, works over in the IT department 50% of the time and over at the library 50% of the time. What this is giving them is a direct conduit to the IT department. This person already knows how the IT department functions, who's responsible for which tasks. So if there's a critical need that arises and really needs to be solved in a short period of time, this person already knows who to call and could potentially already solve it themselves. With conventionally, it would have taken a much longer time to get an answer, especially since the library operates at hours outside the town. So a lot of times this community room is used outside of town staff hours, which would make it almost impossible for them to receive support. With this position, they have someone there whenever that room is being used. In case anything is to go awry, they can go down and help fix it.
What was your role in the recent election, systems-wise?
For the recent election, we handled a lot of the setup, takedown, coordination with the state. So with the election, there's a lot of technology that comes into place. We had to set up a whole bunch of PCs that the different people could use to check, to do a whole bunch of different things, whether it's checking people in, moving them throughout the process. So there was a ton of work that had to go into that. First was identifying the space. After identifying the space over at the library, we had to go in and reconfigure all the networking. And the reason for that is to keep the election stuff separate from everything that's going on at the town. This is a security measure, so that way if one gets compromised, the other is not. Also, it prevents peering over to one another, so nobody can really look over there unless they're supposed to be. From there, it's building the systems, going over there, getting everything set up, getting it connected. We also had to move phones as well, desk phones, so we pretty much had to set up like a mobile office to get everybody ready. You know, computers, printers, label printers, scanners, you name it, they're all set up. And then, of course, ongoing support throughout the election, configuring the access control behind the library doors to ensure that they open at the correct times and people can get in. Also, opening the correct doors so that way people aren't going in another door to the library, getting lost, or going somewhere they aren't supposed to. And then at the end of the election, the breakdown. In future elections, we're going to be part of CVRS, which is the new application being released by the state. I believe we're going to be involved with the training, setup, and all the other things that kind of go along with that.
Is there any other departments you've helped that have a story to be told? Or is it regular services?
Honestly, if we had all night, I could tell you a story about every single department, every single one, and I encourage you to get out and go talk to them and let them tell their own story.
They're in trouble with the finance department because they're right across the hall. So
Oh, they're
we
in
use
trouble.
them. Yes, we use
All right.
them all the time.
All right, staff is doing good?
Staff
Team's
is
a
great.
team?
Yes, morals are high. Very fortunate to have them. I don't know what I would do without them.
There is a new also line item that Mitch asked for that I'm fully supportive of. There's a tuition reimbursement for $2,000. The reason being, it's twofold. One is for the employee, one's for the town. These are non-union folks who are in the department, so the union contract provides for some reimbursement for tuition. I wanted, at my discretion, to be able to provide that same because we have staff members that are actually going to community colleges for the specific jobs they're doing. So I want to be able to make sure and encourage. I get their report cards, and I've been giving it to them. So I want them to make sure that we keep.
They got to give you their report cards?
They do, yeah. It's almost like continuing education, but
Certificates like?
Yeah, but it's
Being certified for
It's
different things?
in degrees in network management, but it's almost like it could have been labeled as a continuing, but I don't think we can pay the community colleges under the training budget, so I want to put it in as tuition reimbursement.
Mitch, thank you. We're good?
Yep.
Everybody's good?
Thank you for all the
Thank
great
you.
work.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Appreciate
Thank the
it.
team, make
Yeah.
sure. Okay, I guess the library.
Christine Machado.
Oh, hold on. It can be multitask. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, tell us about the library. How are we doing over there?
We're doing really wonderfully over there. We are now a full year in. We have a full year of data, a full year of use. It's been an adventure seeing how everything, first of all, finishing everything because it wasn't complete when we moved in, and seeing how the community has adopted the library, the new library, and, moved to fill all the corners. If you stop by, on an afternoon, there are people in every area of the library, down in the children's room, up in the study rooms, reading in chairs, Statistically, we are seeing increases in just about every category of use. Circulation is up, foot traffic, library visits are up. We've had almost double the number of people sign up for new library cards in 2025 as they did in 2024, before the new library opened. More people using the public computers, more people asking reference questions. It's just very, very busy and vibrant and well-used, and it's really wonderful to see. The teenagers are in the teen space every afternoon. They do all kinds of things. Crochet. Teens are into crafting these days. I didn't realize that, but they're so they get together and they crochet and they hang out and they do their homework, and it's a really wonderful site and well-used space. In terms of our budget requests this year, Most of this is pretty steady state in terms of keeping things, database services are just a little bit for inflation. Program supplies and stuff are flat. We don't really have the staff to increase our programming right at the moment. Books and materials are, of course, an enormous line item for libraries. We've asked for an inflationary increase there just to be able to maintain our current level of purchasing. Utilities is actually a slight decrease in the request. It came in kind of high last year because we didn't know how it was going to play out in terms of the new building, but it's actually come in slightly lower than we had anticipated. Office supplies are flat. Library automation is actually down just slightly. Mitch addressed that, or Alex and Mitch addressed that some of that has been consolidated into the IT department. The vast majority of that line for us is our participation in the library's online consortium we are part of that provides a lot of our IT background for the library-specific stuff. We're part of a consortium. We have a shared catalog, a shared database, a shared interaction with that. So that's an ongoing expense. New equipment. We had come here, as you recall, there had been a discussion about capital needs, and we had come in with some requests back in October. This board asked us to come back through the regular process, so here we are. Just a couple of things to better equip the library for the current use. The request is for 3 self-checkout machines, which will really help to mitigate some of the demand on the staff. We do have 2 self-checkout machines right now. They are not in good condition. One of them is currently down. It's been down for a couple of days. On Saturday, there was enough demand on circulation without that people were backed up the stairs waiting to check out. So there is a real need there. But the big thing is staffing. Libraries are a very staff-heavy use. There's a lot of direct patron customer service interaction. As you can see, that has all gone up in the new building while we have had cuts in staff. That has put a lot of strain on the staff and strain on, our ability to serve the patrons and the citizens as well as we would like to. Particularly because the library is open more hours than, a standard 9 to 5 office. That puts some strain on a standard staffing model. If everyone works 9 to 5 and you have full-time employees, well, they're all there all the time you're open. But the library is open 6 days a week, 60 hours, which means that your staff has to split. So they're either working 9 to 5 or 12 to 8, which means that at the beginning and the end of the day, you're only at half staff. And because of the way the union contract works, our staff work every 3rd Saturday, which means we're running at a 3rd staff on Saturdays. For us right now, that means 5, 5, and 4. 4 people in the library on a Saturday is our minimum staffing level. We drop below that, we have to close, because that's 1 person on a desk and 1 person to cover lunches and make sure that nobody's smoking in the study rooms. So I had requested an additional librarian in my initial request, but after conversation with Alex and Chrissy about the budget, we had come to the conclusion that a more cost-effective solution for some of our staffing concerns would be 2 part-time, non-union library circulation clerks. What that would do, first of all, 2 part-time staff would be able to work non-union staff would be able to work every other Saturday, which is a whole nother person every Saturday at the library, which is huge. You also can split 2 part-timers, so they're only there in the morning and in the evening when you have the least amount of coverage for your full-timers. That will also allow us to we have a category of staff called interdepartmental library assistants. They're direct customer service at the public service desks. Those staff, because of our staffing right now, are working almost entirely in circulation. Having extra people in circ would allow us to pull those out to help in children's and at the reference desk for those kinds of requests that don't really require an MLS level librarian. Our reference staff are helping with the copier an awful lot right now, and general computer requests. We get a lot of people in to use the public access computers, and they tend to be, on average, the kind of patron who comes to the library to use the public access computers is a less computer savvy person than someone who has that technology at home. So it's a high demand on staff. It's very time intensive to do that kind of work.
Is Saturday one of your busier days?
Saturday is one of our busier days. Monday and Tuesday tend to be the busiest. Then it slopes down and then jumps up a little again on Saturday. It depends a lot on programming, though. If we have a big children's program, we're slammed.
Yeah, please.
If you could just touch on some of the more innovative things you've done, maybe possibly about fines. Trying to get the better customer service for the residents.
Yes. After a discussion with Alex and the library board, we're moving forward with removing fines on the vast majority of our regular materials, our books and videos and stuff. They're only a 10 cents a day fine. Considerable research has shown that fines aren't really a incentive for people to return things. I don't know if you're familiar, there was a study a while back about, it wasn't about libraries, but it was about daycare. Daycare center had put in a fine in place to try and get parents to pick their kids up on time. And what happened was that the parents got later and later because they treated the fine as a fee for service rather than as a detriment. It's like, I'll just pay it and then I can be late, right? Psychology is a really interesting thing when it comes to people and money. We would keep fines on things like our hotspots and very valuable stuff. What libraries who have gone fine-free have shown is that things come back just about as much as they always did, and it removes a barrier for use for people who take out a lot of items or who don't have a lot of money, particularly families with children who tend to they'll not take books that they want because they're afraid of the fines. Whereas if we remove the fines, then that's not a barrier. It is still a requirement that you return the books. You don't just get off scot-free. After a certain period of time that the books aren't returned, they go into what we call billed status. That we're considered lost, and the patron is responsible for replacing it, or they can just bring it back. Most of the time in that sense, they have the book, they can return it, and in that case, the fines go away. This will be a real help for our families, for our lower income citizens. It also will help a lot with the customer service because it will save a lot of argument. People do argue a lot about 25-cent fines. It will make the the interaction go much more smoothly at the service desks for us. I did want to talk also about, Mitch mentioned our split position. That was something that we added this year. It was a revenue neutral thing because one of our full-time librarians really wanted to go to part-time. And we didn't want to lose her, but we really didn't want to lose that work either, which was really important. But we talked to Mitch about some of the tech needs that we were really seeing in the new building, and we came up with a solution of allowing that librarian to go down to 25 hours and using the difference to hire in a half-time IT person who has been enormously helpful with the tech needs that we're seeing in the new building. The community spaces are in great use. People need help using the projectors and the computer displays and the microphones, and the library is kind of a high-tech space. And having someone dedicated to us has been enormously helpful. And the IT department is fantastic.
She must
Now
have
we
a
owed you
problem
one.
she needs fixed.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna say the libraries.
We are high users of the help desk system. I'm very sorry. Did you have any specific questions?
No, I said Rich is going to come and say how the library's fantastic. He's going to owe you one next time we talk to him.
I'm so sorry, it's such a small line item, but why is there a boot allowance line for the,
That's just in the union contract.
just in the union contract?
It's in the
Okay,
union contract
I-
for our custodian, yes.
Thank you.
Want to do the Barnes?
Sure, let's move straight on to the Barnes Museum. I brought you a handout for that too. I'm sorry, I'm a very text-oriented person.
You're going to charge us 25-cent fee if we don't return them.
Sometimes it's important that the information be conveyed accurately to the people who need it.
Especially the ones on the internet.
So the Barnes Museum request is very much a status quo request. There's no request for any increase in staffing. The regular building maintenance is flat. The utilities line is up, but that is based on actual use. Last year, we had to tap contingency because the utilities was up, and this year it's increasing too. So I'd really like to adjust that to reality. Everything else is roughly, as it has been. The Barnes Museum is a very, under Christina Volpe's leadership over the past several years, she has really worked to bring the Barnes Museum more into a professional museum capacity, as a professional museum curator with expertise in those areas. She has been working to conserve some of the materials in the collection, particularly textiles, which had not been maintained in a way that was conducive to, long-term preservation. She's been working very hard on making sure that those, the more fragile artifacts within the museum are maintained. She's also working very hard to bring the history of Southington and the Barnes Museum out into the community. She started a very popular program called History Pints, where she goes to Kinsman Brewing and people come and talk about history and learn. That was actually featured, I don't remember it's been adopted by a number of other museums elsewhere as a really fun way to bring people to history. She also goes out to the schools frequently to teach Southington's students about the history of the town. So it's it's a small gem. It's a small museum. It's a small building. But it's a real asset to the history of the town. I did want to touch upon the request for exterior painting, which I know Alex took out of the budget, but nevertheless, there's one thing in particular I wanted to mention, because it has been mentioned to me a couple of times by different people out in the community, and I think there's a misunderstanding about the endowment fund that exists for the support of the Barnes. I'm sure you're aware that when Bradley Barnes passed away and left the Barnes homestead to the town of Southington, there was also an endowment fund left for its support. That endowment fund is managed by the Bank of America. They're the trustees, and that's where the funds are. They send money to the town of Southington every month. It changes yearly exactly how much it is. They have a complex investment formula. But currently, it's $2,249.25 a month, which is a hair under $27,000 a year. There seems to be an understanding in some places that that money is set aside for the capital maintenance of the barns. And that is something that could be done if the town and the finance department really wanted to work it that way. But currently, that money goes into the general fund. So it's already accounted for in the town budget for the support of the barns. So it's not something we can tap twice, is what I guess I'm saying. So there is no other, like the $50,000 can't come out of the trust except by it not coming out of the general fund. So I just wanted to clarify that. We are actively looking for other sources of funding, capital improvement funds, historic preservation funds. The issue with that is many of those preservation funds won't touch what they consider regular maintenance, which painting typically is.
Can I ask, do you have quotes for the work?
The quotes are at least a year and a half out of date now, but they came in between $60,000 and $80,000 a year for the project, which includes some wood repair and stuff like that. And there is $40,000 currently in reserve for that. So
do you really only need 25 or 30?
I think we probably need another 40. I mean, and it's been a while since the quotes.
Okay.
We would need to get new quotes, but we probably need at least another 40.
Okay, thank you. Oops, sorry, I had another question, but it might be more. It might be more for Alex. I'm not sure. There's no increase in wages. Is that just a normal? Most of the departments there was a slight increase in wage. 1%, 2%. This is something. I'm just. Is it?
So, all the library staff except for Christine and her deputy are in the municipal, the clerks union.
Right.
All those folks, their contracts expire July 1st. So how we budget it is we carry them over from the year. We don't put an increase. And then I budget a salary contingency that is in the back of your budget. I anticipate needing retroactively pay or adjust those line items. If we're settled before the July 1st, we'll change those line items then. If we're not, we'll move that money from contingency into those line items post-arbitration or post-settlement, wherever we get. But yeah, so when the contract is expiring at the new fiscal year, it's carried forward. That's why you'll see in a lot of these budgets.
So even the non-union employees, like at the Barnes, would get an increase or no?
So everybody at the Barnes is union. So that's why
Oh, they are union. I'm sorry, I
everybody
thought
there
you were
is
saying they weren't
Yeah,
union.
everybody
Okay.
at the Barnes is in the municipal union.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Alex, the money you, for us, what do you use that for? Salaries?
that just goes, as Christine said, it's right into the general fund revenue. If you look at your revenues in the budget,
Yeah.
they show.
So it isn't specifically earmarked to any
Right.
specific line item within the Barnes budget. It's just takes that much money off the town's responsibility
Yeah,
for
no
the
difference
Barnes.
than tax than real estate tax.
Well, the town keeps it, and then it spends 141 operating the barns.
Right,
So it
exactly.
keeps the 20, whatever it is, 22
Yeah.
comes in, and then we pay 141, so a net,
Exactly.
120 to run the barns.
Right, exactly. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come by the library anytime. Happy to see you.
Okay. We accomplished what we wanted to. Let me just say, a lot of, what we're hearing here are bits and pieces. You could pass these down to Alex. Chris. Just a high-level summary of the budget. We're going to hear tonight, we're going to hear Thursday night, and then folks are going to go back to their departments, and just want to leave everybody watching and everybody here with a high-level summary of what we're facing, and pass no judgment on it now, because this board will all work together. We're all collaborative with one another. We're going to sit down and seriously go through this budget line by line by line and say, what is the most responsible thing to recommend to town council? But here's where it starts, and here's why it's important. I'm going to even pull the microphone in because people say they can't hear on the video. 2 points I'll make. One is about grand list and what happened, and the second one is about the budget itself, the new budget, going from the current budget to what we call the 2026-2027 budget. First of all, the grand list. I do not have all the information yet. We will be working with the assessor to really break it down. But at a high level, the grand list includes the assessed value of real estate, motor vehicles, and what they call personal property, which is really business property. It's pizza ovens and things used in the operation of a business. Okay. Real estate went from $3.859 billion to $5.933 billion. Real estate went up $2.1 billion, or 53.7%. Now, I think the general public understands that. They go to Zillow or Realtor.com, you type in your house, you say, oh my goodness, and things are going up. If you have anybody in your family buying a home, you're looking around, first of all, you got to find one, and second of all, you got to pay for it. Two challenges, and in town, the demand, it's not just Southington, but the demand for real estate is a little tight, and then when you go to buy one, you could be paying top dollar, or people are bidding above asking price. That's what's happening. As a result, again, we saw a 53.7% raise in real estate. I'm going to not talk about motor vehicles. I think we all understand people scrap them and buy new ones, and that moves around. There was a new valuation last year which used a manufacturer's suggested retail price and MSRP, less depreciation, a whole nother story. And personal property, which is really business property, is stuff engaged in business, and that it moved up 8%, but that's small. Biggest thing is real estate. But every year I've been here since 2009, every 5 years we do this revaluation. And I use the word hard and soft. So a hard one is where they come out, not that it's more difficult, it's just more intense. They come out and they knock on the door and want to come in the house, they want to measure it, they want to look at the quality of construction, they want to really take a hard look at the home. And then every 5 years, we do a soft one where they kind of go to a market-based system, look at the properties we have, and they mark them to market based upon a benchmarking. And then the hard one, they actually walk around, canvass the neighborhoods, and try to gain access and have a closer look. Okay. Well, they're up 53.7%. And all the time I've been here, when we have a reval, every property kind of moves the same. Never perfectly, but if everybody's up 10%, commercial, industrial, business property, little houses, condo, modest homes, 1,500 square foot or less, starter homes, the bigger homes, they all move similar. So when you spread the annual budget over those houses, they all see a similar, they all pay a similar share of the annual budget. There's a misnomer in the, and I'm trying to clear it up, and even fighting with Ron DeSantis in Florida, because he misspoke, and he's got, John Leary calling him out. We don't pay tax on our car when we buy it and then pay tax on our car every year thereafter. And we don't pay tax on our house when we buy it and then pay tax on our house every year thereafter in a pure sense. When we buy our house, we pay real estate conveyance tax. When we buy our car, we pay sales tax. Those are different taxes. Once you own the assets become your property, whether it's land, your house, your business, your pizza ovens. They become your property. All we do in town is we say, how are we going to fund this budget? And I can only speak off the top of my head to last year's budget. The current budget is a $188 million budget. About 20 or so comes from grants. $154 million has to come from the taxpayers. How do we get it? We look at how much the value of the cars you own, the value of the business property you own, if you own any, and the value of the real estate, houses, buildings, dwellings, land that you own, and we get that value from an appraised source, and it's on the grand list, and we just say, how much do you own? And we allocate, we come up with a rate per dollar of property you own called a mill rate, and all we do is say, hey, if you own more property, you're going to pay a larger share of the $154 million to operate the town. So it's not paying sales tax on your car over and over again. It's paying your share of the schools, the police, all the stuff we heard about tonight, the charges. One thing that happened, and this is the point I need to stress, and this board's going to have to wrestle with, the smaller, while the overall grand list for real estate went up 53.7%, the smaller, more modest starter-type homes and basic homes saw values go up much higher than that, some maybe in excess of 100% or close to a doubling of their value. Well, if the budget doesn't go up one single penny, the people in the smaller houses, their share of the taxes needed by the town is going to go up higher than the share of taxes needed by the town goes up on, say, a bigger house, industrial or commercial. Not that the bigger house is going to pay less, but the shift, the bigger house will still pay more net taxes, but there'll be a shift. And just as recently as today, a person on Facebook was communicating with me in an open conversation saying that her taxes are going up, I believe the number was $1,300, which was a huge amount of increase. A major portion was because of the shift in the value. Her home went up in value. And so smaller homes are going to pay a higher percentage of the taxes needed to the town. And then so that's story number one, and it is what it is, and we are going to look for, I'll ask the town manager, I'll form more formally, but to look at Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, to look through the town attorney, and just see if there's any leeway the state is offering that could help us with this, and what are our options regarding reval. And we'll get into that, because this board's going to want to know, is there something we can do regarding that? We can't change the value of a house. It's a market-based thing. It's not a Southington thing. It's not a Board of Finance thing. If you have a piece of property and it becomes worth more, like anything else, the value went up, which is great, but then in relation to that, your share, your asset value increased, so you'll pay a little bit more to the town. The real most important thing is the town is not going to collect any more than that $154 million. The mill rate gets reset down. So I did some calculations, and I told everybody I would share them. So at a blended rate, I have to blend the cars. I don't really care for the sake of this conversation. I mushed the cars and the and the real estate together, came up with a blended rate of 32.81, was essentially our blended mill rate in the current budget against the current grand list of 4.9 or 4.7 billion. If we have to take that same 154 million and get it from the owners of the new grand list, yeah, billion. Well, a million. But if we have to get the 154 million from the new grand list, so forget the new budget, keep that aside. If we just have to get the 154 million from the property owners against the new revalued property, the mill rate would be 22.41. I have a little problem with the number. It's a draft number because I have not been able to separate new growth from reassessed value, meaning if somebody built a new building, I've mixed them together because I can't separate them with the data I have. But the numbers are the numbers. It would be 22.41 would be the reset mill rate. Now, on top of that, we have to fund the new budget, and I'll mention that briefly. And that brings the mill rate up to 24.49. So if anybody out there has their assessment, to get apples to apples equal, they could multiply it by 22.41 and see what their taxes would be in the current budget without the new budget, just because of what moved in the assessment. And then they would go to 24.49 mils, and that's the budget before us. Okay. What is in this budget before us? This was one of the biggest ones. I said that last year, I'm saying it again. Board of Ed increases from 122 million to 130 million in their request for an $8.2 million increase. And they've come here just a week ago and told us that's level services, give or take a couple tweaks. It's level, it's the same thing they did this year, doing it again next year for $8.2 million more. That's a 6.7% increase. General government, there's a little more movement in there. It's not quite the same thing as last year. There's some movement in there. But general government goes from 53 million to 59 million, up 5.2 million. That's a 9.8% increase, probably the highest we've ever seen for a general government request. And then debt service goes from 13.3 million to 12.7. It goes down 548,000. That's really a factor of refinancing the bonds and the timing. That goes down. So when you blend all that, what's happening? Well, the $188 million budget we have now is on its way to becoming a $201 million budget for a $12.8 million increase and a 6.8% overall increase. That's what we have before us. In addition to that, our revenue went down. Our budgeted revenue is down from prior year by 1.1 million. And then our uncollectible, which is hard to explain, is going to hurt us by 331,000. You add all that together, we need $14.2 million more this year from taxes than we got last year. So take the first conversation, smaller houses grew at a rate higher than bigger houses. Some of the burden's going to shift, number one. And number two, the budget is on its way to being 14 million more than next year, so then the taxes go up on top of that. That's where we are, and that kind of defines the mission of this board. We look at it from the bottom up, like all the little pieces, through every department and what's going on, and then we look from the top down, how does it affect the folks? And we've got some challenges before us that we're going to have to work together and work through. And I'll leave it at that. But I just, as the chairman of the board, just want to get that out there and say to everybody, there's a lot of moving parts, and they're not moving the same way they once moved. There are changes in the valuations, so, I mean, we could help explain it. People have asked a question. I'll address it more to the camera. They say, I don't like my assessment. Well, the answer to that, and I'm very blunt, if your assessment is fair and reasonable, it is what it is. If your house went up a few $100,000 and you go to Zillow and you look at it and say, wow, look at that, that's truth. That is what it is. You may like it because your assets went up, not like it because your taxes may go up. Well, that is what it is. If there's a flaw in your valuation, when you look at your valuation and say, what happened to me? Houses similar to mine are not feeling that. I think there's an error. They got the wrong square footage, the wrong number of bathrooms, the wrong number of fireplaces. Something's flawed. By all means, the town wants to correct that. So, you can go see the assessor with data. You can go see, if things escalate, there's a citizen board of assessment appeals. You could visit that board, but you have to have data. You can't have emotion. You don't like it. Oh. But if you have a flaw in it, bring forth the data. It's a data-driven process. What were comparables in your neighborhood? You don't have to hire an appraiser. You could kind of just do it yourself to get a sense. What's going on in your neighborhood? How are similar houses to yours? Why is yours being unfairly assessed? That's the ultimate question they have to answer. And if there is a flaw, the town wants to fix it. If there's not a flaw, it's just the market value of your property in supply and demand. There is a shortage of supply, there's a heightened demand, price goes up. It is what it is. So please do everything you can to make sure your assessment is right, and if you are going to challenge it with data. That's all I have to say. If anybody else has anything to just add. And then we'll see everybody again on Thursday. There's a schedule published. We'll have one more like this with a bunch of other departments, and then we're going to head towards a public hearing on Monday night, Monday the 3rd, I believe it is, right? March 3rd? March 2nd? We will have, I don't have my schedule in front of me, or maybe I do. Yeah, I do. March 2nd, 7 p.m., DePaulo Middle School, we will have a public hearing on the budget. This board, the best thing this board likes is advice, less emotion, more advice. Sometimes people come and say, I want to spend more, I want to spend less. But what we'd like to hear is, what do you really think? What do you think we should cut if you want to spend less, and why? And if you want to spend more, what do you think we need to invest in and why? I've always taken notes. I have a little pad out, and I jot down some notes. I'll just sit there and listen. But for all of us, the best advice is, why do you want to spend more? What's the rationale for it? Or why do you just want to spend less, and what's the rationale for that? And how do we accomplish it? What advice do you want to give to us to accomplish it? And we'll hear broad-based things. Oh, I just take 10% off the top, hold education zero, double education. But we have to, any good advice would be, here's an idea, here's what you can do, this avenue makes sense, please consider it. I mean, we'll hear any comment, but ones that really help is if you give us a little bit of an idea of maybe what we could give up or what we need to add. And you give advice to us, and then we go back to 4 workshops. We work through the budget, we do our own private work on the budget, and then we come back here later in March, we vote on the budget. And the vote we make is not a vote to approve it, it's a vote to recommend it to town council. They get it, more time goes on, they have a chance to have conditions subsequent, things that happen that we're unaware of, so they'll fix it for that. And then they'll look at it and use their own judgment as the senior, governmental authority in town. They'll look at it, they'll approve the official budget, then they'll turn around to us and say, make sure the mill rate's calculated properly. We'll do the math, we'll set the new mill rate, because only the Board of Finance can levy taxes, and we will then levy the taxes based upon the budget we're given. So I hope that helps everybody a little bit, and I know it is difficult for taxes this year because the budget's big and because of the shift in the valuations. Thank you for listening to all of that. I appreciate being able to share it with you. If anybody has anything else, we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for being here. Thank your departments for what they do.